Hi, I'm John Byrne with Poets&Quants.
I'm Sandy Kreisberg, the HBSGuru.
And we're here with another edition of Handicapping Your MBA Odds. We have an interesting candidate, and I think a candidate today who is kind of common in the MBA applicant pool. He has a 700 GMAT, a 3.3 GPA from Penn State, in a computer science background. It's actually information systems. He had been working for a Big Four, consulting arm of a Big Four, and in the last 6 months he is working for, we think, Freddie or Fannie Mae. And of course he wants to get an MBA.
He said think Freddie and Fannie.
Exactly.
I like that think modality. Yes.
Indeed. And he actually doesn't have Harvard and Stanford on his radar, but he does have Wharton, MIT, which he considers reach schools, as well as Columbia, Darden, and Tuck. So what do you think about our candidate? He's also a 25-year-old white male.
Yeah, what we got here is a white male with a 3.3 in a tech field, a 700 GMAT, Big Four, and then transition to what he said, think Freddie, Fannie. I get the picture. There's an analytical mode in this game where you say, this is silver, not gold. The golden variety of a tech guy like this is a guy with a higher GPA, a higher GMAT, who's possibly doesn't have the savvy to get into, McKinsey, Bain, or BCG. So he works at maybe a Big Four. And then he's a diamond in the rough. This guy is the silver version of that. So I think, at Wharton, MIT, and Columbia, I don't think this is going to happen. I think they're just going to be a guys like him, white male tech guys with just higher numbers, maybe even better resume.
Right.
So I think he's going to have a real hard time there. We keep saying this. Wharton and Columbia have become very focused on the metrics. For them to take a 3.3, well, here's a question, John. How many 3.3 700s are there, white males are there at Columbia and Wharton combined?
Heck if I know.
Neither do I, but
Right.
Speculate.
I'd say quite a few, because after all, the average is at these two schools, 720, 715, right around there. So he's below the average. And you got to know that when they take a below average GMAT, there are other compensating factors for it, right? Like higher GPAs.
You're pulling my leg.
Higher GPAs, or underrepresented minorities.
Yes.
Or you got connections.
Right.
Or you have a gold-plated resume.
Right.
Right.
This guy has none of that.
Yeah, so you're already working at McKinsey, Bain, BCG, which is where he wants to work, incidentally. And he doesn't have that.
That's my point. So he's not getting in. I predict, feel free to send me a telegram saying, hey, Sandy, you idiot, I actually did get in. But I don't think so. I don't think this guy is getting into Wharton, MIT, which he acknowledges are a reach. My point is Columbia is also a reach, because Columbia doesn't, in their own mind, doesn't view their filter as that different than Wharton's. Okay, so then we're down to Darden, Anderson,
UCLA,
and Tuck.
Tuck.
Darden and Anderson are possible with these numbers. He's a totally solid guy. He's got, working for like Fannie or Freddie or some big government organization is of interest to a school as part of a diverse student body.
Yep.
He's a smart guy.
Little League coach.
Yeah, and the American Legion, volunteer at the American Legion Post.
And involved in pediatric cancer as a volunteer supporting that cause during his
Let
undergraduate
me
years.
say something that I'll be happy to get some blowback on. The intersection of the American Legion and the admissions committees of the top 20 business schools in America might be the null set, if I remember that correctly. I don't think saying you're a volunteer at the American Legion is going to get you a lot of bonus points in this game. And let's deal with Tuck, for instance. You know, Tuck is a place where, what do they call it? The urine test. You're in, or you know, if you're the Tuck type, when you go to apply to Tuck, they interview a lot of people. I think they'll interview anyone.
Yes.
And then it's kind of a sniff test.
Right.
There's a Tuck type. I'm not going to define it, but you know, Tuck would go for veterans more than the American Legion.
Sure. They go for outdoor types.
Yeah.
They go for a lot of northeastern liberal arts colleges
Sure.
grads.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, just based on the personal touch and feel, he might have a hard time at Tuck. Darden, Anderson, Cornell, USC, those are places where this guy falls naturally.
Yeah.
And that's what I would recommend.
Now here's the thing. He wants to work for McKinsey, Bain, BCG, and you know they ask what your GMAT is.
Good point.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so, good, right. Here's some tough love for this guy. Well, it's an interesting question. If he got a 720 GMAT instead of a 700, what does that do to him in your mind? Oh, sage.
It significantly improves his chances because,
Where?
well, I would say it improves his chances at Columbia. It improves his chances at Darden and Tuck. That's my sense of it.
If he got a 720 GMAT, he would not get, I continue to say he would not get into Columbia or Wharton or MIT.
Yeah.
There's something admissions officers say when people say, how come I didn't get in? How come I didn't get in? What's wrong with me? What do those clever admissions officers say, John? Do you know?
No, I don't.
They say, there's nothing wrong with you. We just like the other people more.
Oh, yeah, that's Dee's line at Harvard.
Well, if Dee says it, it's got to be true. So with this guy, the people they like more are people with like a 3.6 and like a 730, 740 GMAT, of whom there are a lot.
Yeah. He definitely has to retake the GMAT if he wants to work for McKinsey, Bain, and BCG.
Okay, now you're making another point.
Yeah.
Which is that those consulting firms do ask for your GMAT. And maybe some of our big three people could chime in here. My understanding is they're kind of looking for a 720.
Yeah, so he needs that. And if he gets into Darden, he's going to need that number to get to McKinsey, Bain, BCG easy. Maybe even slightly higher.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
How the big three consulting firms hire at schools like Darden.
Yeah.
I think this become, now we're getting into the esoterica of big three consulting. I think a lot of it would be what office you want to work for. In other words, if those firms have an office in Atlanta, and you're at Darden and you're a Southern guy, they might say this works.
Although, because it's a case study school, the consulting firms tend to like it a lot. And, of course, they love Tuck.
Right.
So if he can get himself into Tuck, that'd really be good for him for his goals.
Yeah, okay.
So, odds at Wharton.
Yeah.
Odds at Wharton, what do you think?
Boy, 10 to 15%.
Okay, MIT, same, right?
MIT. For a guy like this, MIT is looking for a 750 GMAT. It's that simple. They got plenty of people with that number, and hey, why not?
Okay. Columbia.
20%.
And then we have Darden.
30 to 40%.
Okay, that's much better at UCLA, which incidentally
Same thing,
has
30
really,
to
it
40,
has
30 to
really
40%.
up the ante in terms
They-
of the
they're-
quality of their candidates slightly.
So they're doing a Wharton and a Columbia. Okay, I don't see this guy fitting in at Tuck, quite frankly. I hope I'm wrong. He doesn't, from the history, from just the way he presents, I don't see this guy at Tuck. He also,
So what are
did
the
we
odds?
mention this?
What are the odds at Tuck?
20%.
Okay.
Had a self-owned computer consulting company for 5.5 years.
Right.
That's one of those things where you think should help you, but it doesn't. It pains me to say this, but business schools don't credit the fact that you started a computer consulting company. What they want you to do is join a large computer consulting company and work your way up through the ranks.
Right. Yeah. Well, there you have it. Okay.
There, you more than have it.
That best advice: retake the GMAT, get a higher score. It'll increase your chances of getting into some of these schools, and more importantly, position you for what you ultimately want: a job at McKinsey, Bain, BC, or BCG. So good luck to you, and for all you other candidates out there preparing applications for the next season, good luck to all of you.